We're going to go ahead and jump right into our 2.31 feature release presentation. I do want to say that if you are looking through this and kind of listening along and have any questions, please feel free to use your toolbar on the right-hand side. You can either chat or ask a question. We'll kind of be monitoring those throughout the presentation, and we are going to have a Q&A session at the end, so stay tuned for that. If you do want to see if your question is going to be answered, we'll have some other options for you there as well. If for any reason question can't be answered, we run out of time, we'll want to make sure that you are covered. So to introduce myself, my name is Anna Kessel. I'm the corporate training team lead here at Revel Systems, and I will be taking you through this. However, I do have one of our esteemed product managers sitting in here with me to keep me honest and also help answer any questions about the product as they come up. Her name is Kathy, and she'll say hello a little bit later on today. So as we look at our resources, before we jump in, I do want to remind everyone about Revel University. Now, we're talking about 231. We're also updating all of our video content so that you can get the latest. As 231 rolls out, we're going to start by uploading the Management Console videos, making those changes. And when 2.31, the POS app gets released, and that's set to do so in the next few weeks, we're going to be updating those videos. So if at any point something feels a little bit overwhelming, we've been working to provide you with the tools that you're going to need for an easy and smooth transition with 2.31. So you have a couple of options. The first is to either visit Revel University directly, and that's revelsystems.com/revel-university. And then you can see that on the left side of your screen. I've also highlighted the webinars category for you. We are recording this, so if you want to revisit this at a later time, it's going to be posted later this week, and it's only going to be a few clicks away for you. And as always, you can visit the support site at support.revelsystems.com. We've got knowledge-based articles there, user guides, and more. And if later you want to visit Revel University, we've got an easy link available directly from the support site, so you can see that on the right side of the screen. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into the agenda. I've put a couple things on the screen here just so that you know what we're going to be talking about. We're not necessarily going to be going in this order. I'm going to try to actually make it flow by feature for you. But again, we're going to be talking about the visual updates. We're going to show you the new app, highlight some very important new features and feature enhancements. So we're going to start by talking about the new onboarding wizards. Now, this might not apply to everyone, but some of these features will. So we've added a few of them. Now, like I said, generally, this is going to be available during setup, and once they're complete, the wizard is going to be considered to be done, and you won't be able to click into these anymore. But again, functionality of certain wizards are going to be seen in our updates. So let's talk through these right now. We're going to be starting with the employee wizard, but in this section, I'm also going to highlight some enhancements to our employee section in general. So as soon as you click the Take Me There button on the wizard, you would have seen that in the previous screen. This is the landing page that you're going to be taken to. From here, you can either add an employee or you can click Bulk Employee Import on the bottom left. And if you're not ready to do that, just simply click Go Back on the bottom right. But if you are ready and you click Add Employee, you'll be taken to the Create New Employee screen. So this screen allows you to enter employee details needed for immediate use. It includes name, email address, phone number. The wizard will automatically apply the start date as the current date. And in the POS permission section, which we're going to go into a little bit later, you can assign the employee the initial role, starting wage, and POS login PIN. Clicking the Generate link will prompt the wizard to generate an employee POS PIN of 6 digits. Then in the Management Console permissions section, which again, we're going to touch on a little bit later, you can create a username and password for the employee to be able to access the Management Console. You can also assign a pre-configured permission set to the employee, which then defines where they can interact with the Management Console. And once you're done, you can either click Save and New to create another employee using the wizard, or click Save and Close to be taken back to the main employee list page. One thing to note is that you can also click Advanced Employee Settings here, and that will take you to the Employee Details page. The great thing about this wizard is that it's going to be essentially the same screen that you've seen manually adding employees into the system. So it's kind of what you're going to be able to look at, this screen right here. This is the main employees page that I was talking about, and it definitely looks cleaner, but it's also easier to navigate. On the left, you see your filtering options, so you can search by department and role. You can select either current, former, unassigned, inactive, or all employees. And on the right, you can search for an employee by clicking the magnifying glass icon, or simply use the import and export functionality by clicking on the ellipses icon. Next, we're going to talk about roles. These are your employee roles such as cashiers, servers, managers, and so on. You can create roles and departments here and then move on to building out the permissions. So we've created a section for permissions that makes it very clear on where to go for what type of permission. Navigate to POS role permissions and get as granular as you need with the point of sale. Permissions, create reusable roles with defined privileges on the iPad, or build an employee's access level from the ground up. So totally up to you. Underneath, you'll see management console permissions, and these were previously called administrator permissions. You can use these options to specify what your team can do in the management console. So you can grant them the keys to the kingdom or get really strict if you need to there. And because we're talking about employees, I do want to mention that you can now copy weekly shift schedules for single or multiple employees. Previously, it would just copy the week to week, not much flexibility there. But now you can see that you can select a checkbox next to one or more of the employees and copy shifts from week to week. So it's just giving you a little more flexibility and functionality when you're building your employees' schedules. So that wraps up our employee enhancement section. Next, we have the taxes wizard, as well as some additional tax setup options. So like the employee wizard, the taxes wizard is accessed during initial setup. And clicking tax rate will bring you to the landing page where you can add your prevailing tax rate. So let's see what that actually looks like. So here's that landing page. You'll see this whenever you click on taxes in the products tab of the management console. Here you can set up or adjust your prevailing tax rate, but that's not it. We also have the advanced tax settings that you'll notice at the bottom left of the screen. The advanced tax settings, this is where you're going to essentially find all of your tax groups and individual tax rates. You can navigate here to create more complex tax groups and rates. Not much has actually changed on the advanced tax page, but you will notice that it now defaults to the prevailing tax group as opposed to the new tax group. But new tax group has just been moved to the bottom. You can still access this when you need it, but it just won't populate there by default. All right, moving on to the products wizard. So here, this is our landing page for the new products wizard. And this again is something that you'd see if you're just setting up your products for the very first time in your new system. Clicking add product is going to bring you to the new quick add new product. So let's see what that looks like. So this is the create new product screen. And previously this was known as the quick add new product. I just mentioned that. Everyone will see this whenever they click on add and then select to add a product. This includes basic product details, basic inventory details, and product matrix details if that's applicable. One of the best things is that you can create categories, subcategories, and classes directly from the screen. So if I wanted to create a product in a category that's brand new, previously I had to create that category and subcategory before being able to add the product. Now I can start typing in the name, and if it isn't there, the option to add will appear. You can see that on the right with the pizza example. All you have to do is select that option, and once you finish product creation, your new category or subcategory or class, they're all created too. So This is definitely a huge time saver, and it's one of the features that I'm most excited about. If we look a little lower in the same tool, you can see the matrix inventory option. So you can build out that relationship. You can create a parent product or add on a child product. You can even create attributes right within. So you won't come across a situation where you have to stop what you're doing just because you forgot to add a color or a size as an attribute. You can add whatever you need right in this wizard. Notice how I didn't have blue as an available color in this example, and just like adding a category, I can add the attribute value, the color blue, right here. If I need to add a whole attribute set, I can also do that here. So let's take a look. And this is it. I can add a set and the corresponding values that go along with it, all within the new product create wizard. I already said this, but this is one of my favorite new features, and it's a theme that you're going to see throughout 2.31 as an overall update. We definitely worked hard to create more system integration with ease of use in mind. So we've got a quick one coming up next, which is going to be the receipts wizard. Again, another great add-on. It's easily customizable, so you can customize the way your receipt looks. You can add a logo for both print and for email if you want those to be different. You can add text and even configure advanced settings all in one place. And if you're wondering where advanced receipt settings takes you, it takes you to the familiar receipt settings section under the main settings tab of the management console. Now we've gone through all of the major wizard changes. I want to kind of switch gears at this point and talk about some of the other management console changes and add-ons that we have. Starting with price tiers. So Revel added a price tiers tab to the left-hand bar of the products page in the management console. And on this price tiers page, you can set up different prices for different promotions. So price tiers can be useful when offering promotions that have different alternative prices. So for example, you might have a special price for happy hour on Thursdays. But in addition to that, you might want to offer another alternative price for a special event over Labor Day weekend. Price tiers may also be useful if you ever find yourself in a situation where you need to charge different prices to a special group of customers, for example, wholesalers. Price tiers now give you the flexibility to support that type of dynamic pricing. So once you create your price tier, to add it to a discount, you'd make sure that the discount type is alternative price. So alt price, you can see that with the first arrow that's on the screen. And then after that, you simply select the price tier you need from the dropdown. And it really is that simple. And speaking of discounts, let's talk about another new discount feature, which is stackable discounts. So another really exciting new feature. We now support the ability to configure multiple discounts against a single object like an order or an item. And there are 3 types of discount configurations for stacking. So you can see that highlighted in green. We have competitive discounts, and these are standard discounts and they compete with each other. You can only apply one competitive discount to an object. Stackable discounts, these are the discounts that can be assessed against other discounts. So objects that have discounts already associated to them. They don't compete, and stackable discounts can only be flat discounts or percent discounts. They can't be reprice or alt price discounts. And then we have competitive not stacked. And these are discounts that essentially are the only discount on the object, and they're the exception to the new stacking feature. So here you see an example of what a stackable discount looks like on the POS. This is a not competitive one, of course, or a not non-stackable. It's not the exception. And you can see that simply by noticing that there are multiple discounts applied here. Again, on the right-hand side, you see the same example, but in the form of a receipt. And you just kind of get that flexibility and control, more of that when you're setting up those discounts. So stackable discounts for you. Another thing that I'd like to highlight is a voucher payment. So this is something that's new. We now support a unique voucher payment type that can be configured with either fixed payment values or open, but essentially certain countries may offer predefined vouchers for lunches or any kind of meal essentially, and you want to be able to configure that in your system. So now Revel does support that. So in the settings tab of the management console, you're going to find the vouchers section, and that's been added to the payment section of settings. This is where you would configure voucher payments to be accepted on the POS. You can create multiple voucher types and define the rules for accepting those vouchers as payment. Here's a little sneak peek at what the new 2.31 app looks like, but I wanted to show what voucher payments would look like on the POS. So highlighting here, a voucher is going to appear as a payment option, so bottom right. And once selected, you'll be prompted to select an option that you created in the management console. So here's an example of that. On the left, you see the voucher options. Again, I created those in the management console and then tapped voucher as the payment option on the POS, which is why I was prompted with select a voucher. Finally, on the right is what the voucher payment looks like on a receipt. Now, direct your attention to the bottom portion where you see that $10 voucher applied. Again, you can set different criteria in the settings, whether or not you're going to accept other payments, whether the voucher has to be used in full. So definitely check out the voucher settings if this is something that you're going to be interested in. And that's pretty much it for voucher payments. This is going to be another very quick section, but I do think there's some valuable information that I just want to mention in terms of what we've updated for barcodes. So to assist in managing inventory by a variety of stock units, Revel now supports barcodes on stock units. So just keep in mind that these product barcodes, or these barcodes, I should say, still must be unique against all other barcodes, including your product barcodes. If you have any questions on how to set this up, go ahead and take a look at our 2.31 release notes. They're going to have the details that you're going to want to look for. Quick and easy, I said. So let's talk about some of the house account improvements. I think this is pretty huge. House accounts can now be created and managed on the POS. So to start, we've added a new house account role permission to the management console. Enabling the permission allows you to create house accounts on the POS and then reset those account limits if needed. And on the POS, there are two locations where you'd be prompted to create a house account. First, from the Manage Customer window, you can tap Edit Info. It's the little I button. And the POS is going to prompt you with the pop-up asking if you'd wish to create a house account once you're in that screen and you tap the house account button. Otherwise, if a customer wants to pay for an order with a house account and doesn't have one, let's say you added the customer first, don't have a house account created yet, the same prompt and flow will take place where you're prompted to see if the customer wants to, if you want to create a house account for your customer, if you need to determine the account limit. And that's kind of what you see on the right-hand side is the account limit creation portion of the house account. One of the other ways that you can adjust the house account limit, you'll see on this screen, once you add a customer to the order, toward the bottom left, you'll see highlighted in green the button to adjust the house account limit. Again, that's if needed, you can do that directly from this screen. Moving on to tills. So as part of the POS revamp feature, the reassign drawer option has been added to the drawer screen. Tapping the option will prompt a window to display where you can select a new employee to assign the till to, seen in the first image. So if you focus on the left-hand side. Then to support cash reconciliation operations, we've added an envelope number option to designate each safe drop with a distinct identifier code. The envelope number will also be printed on safe drop receipts, and you can see that in the middle image here. And once a safe drop is performed on the POS and given an envelope number, the envelope number will then be represented in its corresponding section in the cash office report. So in the management console, you can access that cash office report. And finally, take a look at the image on the right. On the till management window, the print safe drop option has been removed. Safe drop receipts will now print only when the user submits the safe drop. If a user does not, right, have the permission to open a cash drawer or perform pay-ins or payouts, we're going to gray out the pay-in, payout, and safe drop buttons on the till management screen, essentially making them non-functional. And that's tills. Moving through this stuff quickly. I know there's a lot of information to cover. Big update for us. So right now we're going to move on to talking about our redesigned refund flow. I think this is another pretty exciting feature. We can now refund excess payments on the POS anytime there's a negative balance due. And traditionally, Revel has only supported refunds against existing payments, but we realized that definitely limited you in the ability to refund money in lots of different cases. So now you can even process a refund if an existing payment is not present in the system, just like with receiptless returns, old orders, or payments that were taken with a third-party system. So you can head to the payment section of your management console settings tab and determine the criteria that you'd like to build out so that it fits your system exactly the way that you want it. End of shift, different from end of day process. So we've now added the ability to allow cashiers to reconcile their till associated with a specific shift they've worked at a single terminal. So what we've really added is a manage operations by shift checkbox in the settings tab. You're going to see that on the screen, very top. This is going to live under advanced POS settings and then shift management section. Just a reminder though, if you click clear selections whenever you're in the settings tab and type in what you're looking for, in this case, it's end of shift. That's what I did in the image here. You'll be able to isolate the exact setting that you want to work with. The left side is our viewing pane. And so checking anything here only brings up that setting on the right. And we have to make changes on the right in order to activate or deactivate. Essentially, any changes that you want to make to settings have to happen on the right-hand side. So enabling manage operations by shift is going to expose end of shift process options. This is also known as EOS. If you then check this, it will further expose a list of predefined steps and report preferences for your end of shift process. So you can kind of take a look at those on the screen and then determine what you want included and what you don't need included. Now, focus your attention on the first POS screenshot on the left side of the screen. Once end of shift is enabled on the POS, an employee will have the ability to go into their till and then click end shift in order to start the end of shift process. Of course, they'll be taken through the steps that you've configured in the settings. And when they're done, they have an option to print a summary of the EOS report on that checkout summary window that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. So end of shift gives you more options. Now let's talk through some of our reporting enhancements. So Revel's redesigned the sales summary report so data, particularly liability data, is more easily usable and much more digestible. Specifically, we reorganized data that, like I mentioned, affects liabilities by creating a section dedicated strictly to those liabilities. This helps us ensure that a few of the account activity that we have is represented more accurately, and I do want to talk through that right now. One of the first things that you'll see on the screen highlighted in that green box is the house accounts. So payments against house accounts are matched by total payments, while the payments with house accounts are matched by net sales. Then if we look at gift cards, we have sold value, and that's matched by total payments, while redeemed value is matched by net sales. Store credit, it's the third one. Accrued is matched by total payments, while redeemed value is matched by net sales. And the last thing I want to mention here, deposits. So deposited payments are matched by, again, total payments, while applied deposits matched by net sales. Also, the labels are essentially clickable links. So if selected, they're going to take you to that respective detail. So whichever one you decide to click on. Because of the redesigned sales summary report, we've got some changes because the sales summary report affects the liabilities and payment section, which you'll see in the operations report. So this is what we have right here. We've now moved applied deposits, house account payments, gift and store credit payments out of the payment section of the operations report and placed them into the liabilities table that you'll see at the bottom. So those changes on the operations report, again, dictated from the changes made in the sales summary report. And we've got one more here, the payment summary report. So again, based on that sales summary report, the changes that we've made there, I want to highlight some things here. So total payments. There's a line that's been changed to total tender payments. This line reflects the same data as total payments from the sales summary report. And like I mentioned earlier, we reorganize data that affects liability by creating that section that is dedicated strictly to liabilities so that we can make sure that we're accurately tracking those liabilities in gift cards, store credit, house accounts, and applied deposits. Also take a look, the total tips line has been renamed to total payable tips. This is essentially the total amount of tips from all payment types that are payable to employees. We've got liability tips line, that's been added. This reflects the total amount of tips from liability payments, including gift cards, house accounts, and applied deposits. And finally, the deposit tips line's also been added, which reflects the total tips made as deposits on invoices. And these tips will become payable when the invoice is turned back into an order. All right. And now switching gears to one of the most exciting things that I like to talk about. I know that I've already showed you some images of what the 2.31 app version looks like, but I do want to highlight some of the really exciting features and major changes. It's going to be a big one coming up. So welcome to the new dashboard in the 2.31 version of the POS app. So while the login screen remains the same, after logging into the application, you will see the dashboard, which is on your screen right now. This provides a graphic breakdown of product sales, operation features, and a variety of other actions on the POS. This screen is where you'll be updating inventory, time cards, and POS settings. And keep in mind that you and your employees are going to see different things. And all of that will vary based on the roles and role permissions that are assigned. So if you don't do delivery management and that's not enabled, you're not going to see that. You'll see on the right-hand side that you can go to your orders. You'll find held orders, past orders, and so on in there. You can start a new order. You can process a return directly from the dashboard, create invoices, rewards, and gift cards all from here. And you can also see that these actions on the right-hand side on the POS, like I mentioned, definitely customizable based on role permissions. On the left-hand side, you'll see that you have the ability to click through your customers, your employee time cards, time clocks, to see who's clocked in and clocked out. You have reports, inventory, and you can even adjust your menu or your product list under product setup. This was previously known as manage item mode. Now it's called product setup. And of course, your POS settings are at the bottom left. And you can get almost anywhere from your dashboard, making it much easier to navigate. Now, I also highlighted something on the bottom right. Makes it very easy for you to log out. You can still access your customers tab from two spots. The first I mentioned, like before, directly from the dashboard, simply tap the customer's icon. You'll see a list that now looks pretty similar to what you tend to see in iOS apps. It's a window that is going to pop up, but it doesn't take over the entire screen. You can also search for any customer by tapping into the search bar, and you can even search by name, phone number, email, reference code, company name. You can create a new customer right there if needed by tapping on Add New. And if you ever need to edit a customer, tap the eye icon next to the customer entry. The look may have changed, but the ease of use is still there, if not better. And the other view I want to show you is from an order screen. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Here it is. And the beauty of it is that it looks the same. So you're getting consistency throughout the app. Within the order, tapping the customer icon in the top left brings up a screen, same screen that you saw in the previous image. However, you also have the ability to toggle over to call names if that's something that you utilize. So everything customer name related is now going to be in the same spot, right? So how easy is that? When you're within the new order screen, you can still pull up the orders page by tapping the icon that you see in the red box, top left. But you can also search by customer or order ID. You can toggle from open orders to today's orders or even all orders. And you can find invoices right below that as well. Remember, whenever you see that ellipses icon, that means that you have more options. So don't forget to check those out when you're exploring the new app. Now, here's that ellipses icon again. Notice that when I'm in the middle of building a new order, tapping on it gives me additional item details like adding quantity, discounting the item, sending it to the kitchen in cases of QSR or TSR establishments. The main point here, again, just really want to reiterate, don't forget about this icon. You're going to find a lot of additional options and actions within it. Finally, take a look at our new payment and checkout screen. You'll notice the buttons for tip amount, gift receipt, and so on have moved to the bottom left. Remember, if you don't see a button you normally have, simply swipe to see more buttons. You can tell that you have additional options by the arrow pointing right, so mine is directly next to my refund payment button. Your payment options remain the same. They're at the bottom right of the screen. The payment amount is clearly seen in the top right, and the breakdown is in the top left, with the balance due written in red. It's now even easier to navigate because each section has its own dedicated space. So needless to say, we are really, really excited about the 2.31 release, both Management Console and POS, and I hope that you are too. So before we get into Q&A, I did want to walk through all the support that you have. So let's take a look at the resources again. I'm sure that I've mentioned this before, but our training videos, they're all grown up and they have their own website. Talked about this in the beginning, revelsystems.com/revel-university. If you haven't visited RevelU yet, I highly encourage you to check it out. You can still get there through the support site. Again, you'll just notice that the training videos box is now called Revel University. When you click on it, it's going to take you directly to the site. Additionally, we're currently working on updating all the content, so you should find that most videos are updated to version 2.31. And when I say that, I'm talking right now specifically about Management Console videos. The POS-related videos will remain with 2.22 video versions until the 2.31 app is released. And at that point, we'll update the POS videos so that they match the latest version, because we want to make sure that you always have your most up-to-date information. You'll also be able to find our release notes on our support site. And I know that I've referenced them a few times during the webinar, so just to note,